Hi, Casselberrians. It is now time to have a casual conversation for the beneficial good of our community. The show you are about to listen to is called What's Up, Casselberry? And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you your hosts, Andy and Drew.
Oh, and don't forget that lovely producer, Robin.
What's up, podcast listeners? It's Drew and Andy, producer Robin, and my son Jalen for episode number 64 of the What's Up Casselberry podcast.
Drew, it's quite likely that in his toddler voice, he could make more sense than you and I do.
The wisdom of a child, indeed, indeed. Well, folks, we are so glad you're here for this family-friendly program. We love talking about things that matter to you and to the citizens of Casselberry. Producer Robin, would you share with the people why our beloved co-podcaster Andy is royalty?
Well, apparently, even though it's only the fourth month of 2021, Andy has been named the Citizen of the Year.
Well, yes, it's all rather embarrassing, really, but it's a great honor. It was actually for 2020, so it's a little bit more than 4 months. I'm pretty sure that if it was much longer, people would realize that, hey, I'm not that good a guy. Honestly, there was an award ceremony the other day, and the chief presented me with this award, and it was very, very humbling. And honestly, it was humbling because the way that my life works, it really doesn't work because of my brilliance, strength, or anything like that. It works because I got some great people around me, like the two of you, and like the folks at church, and like numerous other folks in our great community. So really, it's kind of embarrassing to be called Citizen of the Year. But the reality is, if there's anything good coming out of me, it's because I got good people around me.
But you know what, Andy? If anyone that I can think of is deserving of this, it's you. You just love Casselberry, and you do so much for Casselberry. And I think, as humble as you want to be, that is really nice and proper that you were recognized for it.
That's very kind. I think Jalen would disagree. He seems to be upset at the thought, but
let me jump in with two things. First, Andy, yes, congratulations. But one, this is only going to promote our podcast. And so we're always focused on self-promotion, we jokingly say. Citizen
in the most unjoking way.
Add it to our repertoire. Number two, I know that you've been called much other things than Citizen of the Year. So this is a compliment.
I think I've been called worse things than that on this podcast, Drew.
You certainly have. Well, one of the things you're called is dad. You are a father to two wonderful children. I had Culver's the other day. Your daughter, Bethany, served me my Culver's custard. It was delicious.
Now, did you get your Culver's custard free because you mentioned the What's Up Casselberry podcast?
That's right. That is a plug. Luke said if he's working, you can get a free custard. I did not. I waited on that, but I'm going back certainly, and I will get my free custard. Just mention the What's Up Casselberry podcast to the owner, Luke, who was a podcast guest. Andy, because you are a father of two wonderful children, it is time for the What's Up Casselberry podcast's favorite segment, the Dad Joke of the Week.
One, I would dispute whether it's the favorite section of the podcast, but I know that you have put more research into this joke than you normally do. Tell us about how you decided on this week's Dad Joke of the Week.
I have. That's right, listeners. We are a part of the Casselberry Chamber of Commerce, and we recently attended a gathering there and got to share a little bit about the podcast and our goals with it. And one of the things that came about was I solicited 3 different potential corny dad jokes. And we did a poll, and those that were in attendance that day at the chamber meeting, whoever gave the most votes was the joke we were going to make on this particular episode. So here it is. This is not just my approval or my preferred joke. It comes from at least a couple of other folks.
Yeah, maybe just a couple. I'm not sure we can say that this joke is endorsed by the Chamber of Commerce, but go ahead. I'll just tune out for a minute.
Listener, what do you call a pampered cow? Spoiled milk. There it is, the dad joke of the week. Today's podcast sponsor is Legal Shield, and they have a little ditty just for you. Affordable attorneys, it's not an illusion. If you've got legal issues, Legal Shield, we've got the solution. Identity theft, you've heard of that. It happens every day. People's lives being ruined. ID Shield to the rescue. We've got the solution. This is just life. What you gonna do? Give Pat Weber a call at 386-405-3595. She can help you. Protecting you, your family, and your business too. Legal Shield and ID Shield, the best protection for you. Check out Pat Weber and Legal Shield. Thanks, Legal Shield.
Welcome back, listeners, to the best part of the show where we interview someone of notoriety, influence, and interest within our city. Our guest today fits all of those categories. She has on her shirt that we can see on the screen a title that says author. That's a big part of who she is, but she is an entrepreneur. She's a leader. She's a graduate from the University of Florida, and she's also a teacher here at Casselberry Elementary. But you've just arrived in Casselberry from UF, a school that is very close and near and dear to Drew's heart.
Go Gators.
Yes, go Gators.
Tell us your favorite memory from your time at UF.
You know, first, it's always go Gators. It sounds like music to my ears, especially because everyone here in Casselberry or in Orlando is really like UCF bound. Mm-hmm. So I'm always so happy when I find someone from Gainesville. So it's always go Gators. But my favorite memory that I have from my time at UF is just any time that we had just some strong camaraderie, right? So football games, super intense. You have to be there. Tabling events in Turlington and Plazas of Americas, staying up late in Library West or Club West or Marston Library or the Marston basement, of course. But I love also when we just kind of kick off the chants at the different football games. But nothing can top the homecoming weekend that we have. Some of my greatest memories, especially freshman year, was from homecoming. So anytime that we kind of get together and get into that Gator spirit, I just soak it all up.
I love it, Cyan. That segment was just for me. Now, I don't know, nobody else
had a connection.
Would be interested, but
yeah, Cyan, I was listening and I could have snoozed off, but I was watching Drew's excitement. I didn't even know that UF had a football team.
Yes.
We definitely
is amazing.
I love that you said Club West because that is the Library West is called Club West. That's great.
Oh yeah, you have to be there.
Cyan, besides obviously your amazing 4 years at the University of Florida, would you tell us and the listeners a little bit of your story? Where are you from originally, and how'd you end up at Casselberry?
I like to say I'm from a couple of different places. I'm originally from New York. I was born in New York, and then I moved to Jamaica to live with my grandparents before I moved to Palm Beach. And then, of course, I headed to Gainesville for college. But just a little bit about myself, just looking back, I've always been in love with academia and learning something new, whether it was tutoring, whether it was always trying to be at the top of my class, not just K through 12, but at UF. It just gives me some type of thrill. Education has kind of like always been my niche. And that's something that I've loved all my life. As far as like my formative experiences, if I look back, they're definitely defined by my favorite teachers and professors because they'll just never know how much of an impact they had on me while I was growing up, even all the way up until the pandemic. So it wasn't until last year that I really had time to slow down, that I wasn't in school anymore, and I had time to devote to myself and what I really wanted to do. And Orlando was always the next step for me, but Casselberry became more of a home after my interview at Casselberry Elementary School. It kind of like locked it all in. And so it made me even more excited for the next part of my journey.
Well, we are big fans of the school. We love it. In fact, as you drive in every morning, you will pass a banner that says Go Pandas from the What's Up Casselberry podcast because we want to support education and what you guys do. The school is very dear to our heart. If you were to describe your first few months at Casselberry Elementary in one sentence, what would that sentence be?
I would say Casselberry Elementary School is the place to be.
There we go.
I have loved the amount of support that I've gotten from my colleagues, the amount of relationships and the depth of it with my students, especially my paraprofessional, Mrs. McCormick, and even our principal, Mrs. Lambert. She's been an incredible mentor to me and definitely a definitive element in my transition here in my first couple of months. So yeah, I would just say Casselberry Elementary School is the place to be for sure.
That's a glowing endorsement. I feel like that could be on the top of the new school building. It's the place to be. You arrived. Well, Cyan, you teach fifth grade reading. And of course, reading is hugely important, not only for children, but for every age. And we note that on the podcast here recently, we've had several authors, and you have author on your shirt, as Andy mentioned at the top. Could you let us, as the listeners, know what is the name of your new book and share a little bit about the inspiration for the book?
So the name of my book is called Kiara's Extraordinary Experiment. It is my first book. It's something I'm really proud of. But as far as the inspiration for my book goes, it came to me when I was in my teacher preparation program, and the idea hit me at a time where we were servicing Title I schools, but we were still in our upper level courses. And I noticed that the books that we had to use with our students, they were very sparse or they were kind of hard to relate to. So I wanted to create a literary piece that was engaging, had at least one element you could relate to, and was of positive representation. So I wanted rich hair, rich skin, rich style, rich ideas, something new, colorful that you had to pick up for sure.
I love the fact that you said there was lots of rich pictures and colors in your book, because that'll be helpful for Drew, because he just kind of skips the word and goes right to the pictures. So
no,
that's perfect. So you're a teacher, you're a published author, and you're an entrepreneur with your own company, which has got a great name called Small World Adventures. Correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Tell us about the significance of that name. Just for our listeners, it's EDVENTURES. Adventures, not adventures. Tell us about that.
Yes. So this is actually the first time I'm actually able to break it down. So with Small, my last name is Small. Not only is it easy to remember amongst my target audience, but it does symbolize kind of an honor to my family. I intend for my business to provide generational wealth through this book, of course. And then with Small World, it's definitely a safe space for positive representation and morale. But with Small World Adventures, I want it to be an experience intended to teach you more about yourself. So when I was thinking of a name, I needed it to be extremely thoughtful and intentional, but also powerful and engaging. So that's how it happened.
That's amazing. And I love the connection to your family, your upbringing. Clearly, that's like it exudes through kind of your just general disposition and demeanor. And, going along with that. So I was doing a little bit of research before our conversation, and on your online bio, you talk a lot about and it's clear through our early conversation, your passion for connecting, quote, young Black girls to children's literature and education. Why was it so important that you specifically targeted a book that would connect and be relatable to young Black girls?
Not only is it because I'm a young Black girl, but in my research that I've kind of went through at my time at UF, I've noticed that Black girls have been and are still the most at-risk student group in the United States. Even as of late, with the New York Times, they covered an article about it back in October of 2020. And this includes Black girls having the most office referrals and office referral reasons and disparities, whether it's in school suspension, out of school suspension, law enforcement referrals, and expulsions. They were the subgroup that was still most at risk. So it was important to me because in order to align with my company's morals, I need to literally create the narrative that Black girls can be successfully connected to their education and to their school setting. And Kiera does just that in my book. I wanted to kind of relay the message that Black girls can be and need to be more connected to their learning, and that it should be a priority for educators, caregivers, and Black girls themselves. It's just been a pattern that I've seen in my community, and it's still apparent even in 2021. So it's kind of my offering to the problem, I would say.
I love that. You have clearly identified a need and are applying a very powerful solution to that need. The book is hopefully part of the solution, but there are other resources and things you're doing as well to address this problem in Black young girls.
Yes. So I have a couple of other resources that can be found on my website. I provide bookmark templates that can be downloaded and colored in for kind of lowering your anxiety levels amongst young readers or even yourselves. I provide a writer's workbook to help organize the thoughts of up and coming authors. And I also provide open-ended book club questions and comprehension questions to enhance understanding. So that's kind of like where my teacher background comes into play. And I also provide one-on-one consultations to those who would like to bounce ideas off of someone else. Through my experience, I can just find different ways throughout my consultations to better help you regardless of where you are on your journey.
I love that. And don't get me wrong, Andy's teased me already, Cyan, but I love coloring. And so
yes.
I have a young son at home. So I will be getting this book and some of the resources to share with them. Hey, speaking of kids, could you share maybe a quick testimony of maybe it's a child in your class, maybe it's a child from back home or somewhere else that maybe has benefited already from the book or given you just some positive feedback?
There's a lot of different reactions that I've gotten from the book, and it's honestly been very overwhelming from the different types of testimonies that I've gotten. But one story in particular that I remember is that I had a parent read their book to their daughter, and then they told me that 6 a.m. the next morning, their daughter was making a science experiment, trying to freeze some water in their freezer and putting it in like different parts of the freezer to see if it really froze. And they woke up and they found that. And they were very freaked out because they thought it would be a huge mess. But it was just, some science curiosity. Didn't hurt anyone. But I just love the fact that it had a call to action immediately, like the next day. And so I was like, wow, that really touched my heart for sure.
You are a remarkable person, Cyan. You are,
thank you.
Teaching in the confines of the classroom, but as well, you are kind of mentoring and influencing people around the country, maybe even around the world through your resources. And we're just so blessed that you're kind of based out of Casselberry. You found a need, you're meeting it, you are obviously passionate, and you're fulfilling and chasing that dream with great integrity. One of the things that Drew and I just love to do is learn from inspirational people like you. Words of wisdom or advice could you give to us, give to our listeners about finding their passion and purpose and fulfilling their dreams and making their life count in the significant way that you are obviously doing with yours?
Thank you. If I had to say a piece of advice, I would say it was placed in your mind and you can't seem to forget it, then that's a sign. In order for that vision to become a reality, you need to have routine, research, and reliable people in your network. And credibility is everything. So just keep striving and keep working and you'll get there.
I love that. Routine, research, and reliable people. That's three R's. Andy and I are both pastors, Cyan, and we always are about
the alliteration.
Yes.
Yes. Well, Cyan, as we wrap up our conversation in just a couple of minutes, what do you feel like is next for you? Obviously, I don't ask that with any kind of pressure or burden, but obviously Kiera's extraordinary experiment it's so unique in its concept as well as the supplemental teaching materials. Is there follow-ups to Kiera's story, or are there other things outside of the realm? What do you got ahead?
Yeah. So as far as the book goes, Kiera is a part of a girl best friend group, and Miss Small, myself, I'm in the book as well. And so as far as coming of a series, each friend in her girl group is going to have a situation that is unique to their life experiences. And Miss Small is going to kind of help them through. But the next book that I put out is going to be about Kiara's little sister, Deja. Now, Kiara is very academic focused and she loves science and she's really driven. But for her little sister, Deja, it's not like that. She's not really into school like that. She's more creative. She's more of a free spirit. And Miss Small is going to help her through that when Deja gets into Miss Small's classroom. So before we get into each of the best friends, we got to tackle what happens when siblings are kind of different from each other and kind of respecting them as individuals and how us teachers, we have to go through that. So that's what's coming up next with the book. As far as my future goals and decisions, I definitely intend to head back to school while still teaching, of course, to get into some educational leadership. But I really, really want to try to focus on getting Kiara's Extraordinary Experiment into the school district's media center circulation for sure. So I'm going to be working on that next. But besides that, I just hope to continue to be a part of more conversations and solutions that bridge the gap between Black girls and their education.
Man, I love that. Drew, I got a feeling we're going to be able to say we knew her when, right? I'm not sure what that when is going to be, but my guess is it's going to be making a big difference in a lot of lives.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. That really does.
We'll have to get an autograph, Miss Sign, of your book.
Anything you need. Anything you need. You guys are so amazing, and I love what you do for the community.
Well, thank you. So talking about the community, we are about the community. Mm-hmm. You're a part of our community. We're blessed to have you in our community. How can people in our community find out about the book, connect with you, those kind of things?
Gotcha. So yes, the fastest way to get in touch with me is through social media. So at Small World Adventures, EDVENTURES on all social media platforms. So if you send me a direct message on either Instagram or Facebook, I'll respond to you very, very quickly. If not, you can always just send me an email to executive@smallworldadventures.com or catch me around Casselberry and say what's up.
Say what's up, Casselberry.
Yes. What's up, Casselberry?
There you go.
Yes. But I'm all about connecting and being a community resource. So I make myself very open to any type of questions or if you need specific help with something.
Well, I can guarantee you're going to get at least 3 new likes as soon as we hang up this call from Drew, Robin, and I. Sayana, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for sharing your passion. Thank you for living such an inspirational life with such integrity. We appreciate you. We want to stay close. And good luck. God bless for all that's ahead.
Cyan, we're so thankful for you. You're inspirational. We're excited to see what comes next. Speaking of inspiration, Andy, close out this episode with a word of inspiration, if you would, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, I don't think I can generate the inspiration and the passion that Cyan had. Wasn't she wonderful? But here's today's quote from a lady called Mary Shelley. Mary said simply this: the beginning is always today. The beginning is always today. You know, it's easy to live with regret sometimes and say, well, I maybe should have done that yesterday. But the beginning is always today. Often some of us like to procrastinate and say, hey, I'll start that tomorrow. But the quote says the beginning is always today. Cyanna was offering that same sentiment as she talked about her book and her business and her teaching. Now is the moment. Seize the day. We get one life. Use it to make a difference. Our inspiration for this week comes from Mary Shelley, who said, the beginning is always today. Friends, thank you so much for listening today. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I'm grateful for Robin and her production magic to make the podcast better than it is and for us to sound better than we are. Thank you for Drew. Thank you for Jalen. Thank you for Cian. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed our podcast today, please would you rate it? Give us a 4 or 5-star rating. That'll help us climb the charts. And would you also tell someone else that you listen to What's Up, Casselberry? here. Each one of them a wealth of information about the city that we call home. Like and subscribe to our podcast. Check us out online on social media at whatsupcastleberry.com. But until next week, we hope you have a great week.